What President Trump tweeted out to Morning Joe host Mika Brzezinski looks for all the world like cyberstalking. So if you're wondering, as a recap, what he tweeted, it's pretty awful stuff. I don't feel good repeating it, but the bottom line is, yeah, President Trump's tweet has gotten him into a lot of trouble in the court of public opinion. I know he doesn't care about that, but it's going to affect his agenda big time. So what President Trump tweeted, what he said was, and I quote, that he says that he put it like this. Basically, this is slow to open. He basically said that she and Morning Joe Scarborough, she called her low IQ, and then Joe Scarborough a loser, basically. And what happens is this page is very slow to open, and this website that I happen to be looking at, so I'm going to pick another one and scroll back, because this one is, some websites are a bit too laden with too many JavaScripts opening up ads and everything that really slows down the page load time. So at any rate, what he tweeted, which for a time was his #1 tweet, now he's got this one in American Energy, but he's got another one American on Energy, but he left the other one. He's got statement, good news, and let's see here. You know what? He took it down. No, he didn't. It's still up here, just 11 hours ago. All right. Well, I don't know how to feel about that. I was kind of hoping it would be taken down, but it's not. He tweeted first that I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speaks badly of me. I don't watch anymore. Then how come low IQ crazy Mika along with psycho Joe came to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me? She was bleeding badly from a facelift. I said no. That's not true. In fact, I have a photograph here that shows right off that the fact is that Mika's face was just fine, and when I say they, I mean her and Joe Scarborough were talking to President Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and we're having a good time. In fact, I remember the criticism that Scarborough and Brzezinski got for appearing at his event and at Mar-a-Lago for as many days as they were there, as much time as they were there, along the lines of, well, gee, are they really unbiased media people? As if media people can't have a bias, but that's another story. This is the photograph right here. This is it. See that? That's the photograph. And that's Mika right there, and there's nothing wrong with her face. As you can see, there's nothing wrong with her face. Okay. So that was a tweet that was obviously meant to hurt her feelings. And that is a classic case of cyberstalking. Now, it's one thing for someone to do that who is not the President of the United States, but no President of the United States in history has ever done this. President Obama would never even think of something like that. Cyberstalking is the use of the internet, I'm reading definition here, or other electronic means to stalk or harass an individual, group, or organization. It may include false accusations, of which Trump's is, defamation, of which Trump's is, slander, and libel. It may also include monitoring, identity theft, threats, vandalism, solicitation for sex, or gathering information that may be used to threaten, embarrass, or harass. That tweet was made to embarrass. Cyberstalking is often accompanied by real-time, often offline stalking. Well, that's another issue. It goes on with definitions and descriptions, but where it's distinguished. But the bottom line is that this action is against the law, okay? And it's actually part of a collected statistic, and there's even a study called Stalking Victimization in the United States, and it was sponsored by the Office on Violence Against Women. Now, the Violence Against Women Act, which was passed in 2005, was authored by our Vice President, Joe Biden. So, and within the Violence Against Women Act is a subsection on cyber harassment, cyber stalking. But the bottom line is that, I've said the bottom line again, is that it's against the law, okay? And it's not something that should be done. Now I'm reading about cyber stalking legislation, which is in several countries, but for our purposes, the United States is our focus, right? And the report here is that cyber stalking is a criminal offense under American anti-stalking, slander, and harassment laws. A conviction can result in a restraining order, probation, or criminal penalties against the assailant, including jail. Cyberstalking specifically has been addressed in recent U.S. federal law. For example, the Violence Against Women Act passed in 2000, as I mentioned. I said 2005. The cyberstalking part was installed later, but made cyberstalking a part of the federal interstate stalking statute. The current U.S. federal anti-cyberstalking law is found at 47 U.S.C. 223. In other words, that's the U.S. code, which means that it's against the law, period. Title 47 of the United States Code, and again, I'm going to repeat, 47 U.S.C. 223 is 47 U.S. Code 223, obscene or harassing telephone calls in the District of Columbia or in interstate or foreign communications. And it says by means of a telecommunications device knowingly makes, creates, or solicits and initiates the transmission of any comment, request, suggestion, proposal, image, or other communication which is obscene or child pornography with intent to abuse, threaten, or harass another person by means of a telecommunications device knowingly makes, creates, or solicits and initiates the transmission of any comment, okay, request, suggestion, proposal, image, or other communication which is obscene or child pornography, knowing the recipient of the communication is under 18 years of age, regardless of whether the maker of such communication placed the call or initiated the communication. C, makes a telephone call or initiates the telecommunication device whether or not conversation or communication ensues without disclosing his identity and with intent to abuse, threaten, or harass any other specific person. Or D, makes or causes the telephone of another repeatedly or continuously to ring with intent to harass any person at the call number. Or E, makes repeated telephone calls or repeatedly initiates communication with a telecommunications device during which conversation or communications ensues solely to harass any specific person, or knowingly permits any telecommunications facility under his control to be used for any activity prohibited by paragraph 1 with the intent that it be used for such activity. And then it goes on, prohibited acts for commercial purposes, and so on. Now, the obvious question is, does what President Trump did precisely qualify under the U.S. Code? I would argue that it does not precisely qualify, but it is doggone close. However, just because it doesn't, follow the U.S. Code does not mean that it is out of bounds, okay? And as it says here, it says there remains a lack of federal legislation to specifically address cyberstalking, leaving the majority of legislative acts at the state level. So now we're kind of wading into the weeds. But what this reminds me of is the Skank blogger case, and that came up in 2008, going into 2009. And what happened was that there was a vlogger named Lisa Cohen, who was a Vogue cover girl. She had won a court ruling asking Google to reveal the identity of an anonymous blogger who called the former model a skank. Okay, and she wrote this in her blog, and so that person was outed, and the Joan Madsen, the Supreme Court judge, said that she rejected the blogger's claim that the blogs were a modern-day form of conveying personal opinions, including invective and ranting, and should not be treated as factual assertions. The judge quoted a ruling by a Virginia court in a similar case that said that anonymous online taunters should be held accountable when their derision goes too far. And Stephen Wagner, a lawyer for Ms. Cohen, said he was happy that the court recognized that the internet is not a place where people can freely defame people. Google had complied with the ruling, and the blogger was then sued for defamation. So that's where this fits. So it's not, it could be thought of as criminal, but not quite, but definitely suable, and definitely a defamation. And as you can see, Mika did not have blood on her face. Bad stuff. Bad stuff for a president to do.